Actually, it's not afternoon, it's still the morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our 7th annual Wild Wisconsin Winter Web Conference. I'm Jamie Machik, and I'm with the Wisconsin Valley Library Service, and I'm moderating the marketing track today. And assisting me is the wonderful Joy Schwartz with the Winnefox Library System, and we're so glad to have you here with us today. Our second presenter for this session in the marketing track is Trenton Smiley, and he is the Director of Marketing and Communications for the Capital Area District Libraries. And we're going to talk about how we can use resources that we have to be more successful in our marketing. So Trenton, please begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Jamie. Good morning, everyone. I'm coming to you from Grand Cayman Island, where I'm vacationing this week. Sad to say that it's pretty warm here, about in the 70s right now, and I know that you guys are getting a lot of snow your way. I know there's a lot of snow in Michigan, but again, I'm definitely excited to be with you today and honored to be chosen to speak to you about how to better leverage your resources for marketing success. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. For the most part, I started at the Detroit Public Library where I began my marketing career back in the 90s. Prior to that, I worked in radio as an on-air personality. Now, don't laugh, but my on-air name was Trent Smooth. So I'm sure you'll like that, Jamie. Radio is where I learned how to barter and to trade for goods and services. So, for example, if a radio station needed, let's say, a station van, they would offer a dealership the value of that van in free advertising as a trade rather than paying with money. So the radio station's position would be that there was just as much value in trading for the advertisement as receiving money, for the dealership receiving money. Another useful lesson I learned from radio industry was the importance of partnerships in achieving marketing goals. So pretty much both of those concepts is really what helped me shape this concept of leveraging your library resources for marketing success. It's using partnerships to really help achieve your goals and leveraging things that you have, assigning value to those things to be able to secure some of the marketing vehicles that you don't currently have. I successfully used both of these strategies to market the Detroit Public Library, Genesee District Library, which is kind of outside of the Flint area, and then currently now at Capital Area District Libraries, where I will refer to as cattle. So you may hear that word used a lot throughout the rest of this presentation. So for the next 30 minutes or so, I will share with you some theory, a lot of examples of these strategies and that are currently being used at cattle. And then I want to say, first and foremost, the approach is scalable to any library size, budget, or situation. So really kind of listen to what I'm saying and try to really think of how you can reapply these concepts that would be covered to your particular situation. So let's get started by providing some quick facts about cattle. So pretty much cattle is based in the Lansing, Michigan area. We're right down the street from Michigan State University in East Lansing. Our service area is about 250,000. We have about 70,000 members, 13 branches, a mobile library, and a number of other departments that the marketing department has to support, like outreach. There's a local history collection that we have, and a number of other services that we have to help promote. Some of our key services, Hoopla, Overdrive. We have a very successful Library of Things collection, and as you see there, that number is correct. We have over 4,000 programs that are offered annually, so it's definitely a real tough task to be able to create awareness of these events as well as all the other services that we provide. Okay. So no matter your library size or how it's currently being marketed, many of the goals that you and I both want to achieve are very similar. And I'm going to kind of go through some of these. But before I do that, I'd like to throw out a question, and hopefully you can maybe put it in the question box for Jamie to pass along to me. What are some of your marketing obstacles? Just kind of let me know. Is it time? Is it resources? Just kind of share those through the question box, and then we'll kind of talk about those shortly. So the cover.
All right. So yeah, as Trenton mentioned, please type in the question box. What are your marketing obstacles? And Trenton, please say again what your radio name was. I was typing when you said that.
Oh, Trent Smooth. How's that sound?
Trent Smooth.
Yeah, I remember that back in the 80s, though. So
yeah, that is awesome. All right, so I'm seeing some responses coming in. Marketing obstacles. I'm seeing time and money. Ginny says no newspaper. Allison says reaching atypical library users, not our regulars. Staff time. Nicole asks, how do we know how do we let everyone know that we're here? Misty says lack of a well thought out plan. And then Molly says few staff members have backgrounds in marketing. We are learning on the fly, and our knowledge base isn't always very strong. How about, Kelly says, how about reaching non-library users? Susan says, getting it to where it will be seen by the correct people. So those are some pretty strong obstacles, I'm thinking.
All right, that's some good information. What I'll do now is kind of cover some of the marketing goals that we all are striving to achieve. And then next, we'll go ahead and start talking about some of those marketing obstacles, and then from there we'll start going into this strategy that we're all here to hear about this morning. So the first thing is member growth. We used to call our users patrons. We've moved over to members. So really growing your base of users is really what the first. I'm sorry, my computer here. Logged up here. 1 second. There we go. So the goal is very important, since a library card is the passport to many of the services that libraries provide. A consistent growth in members translates to more usage of our services and support of our overall funding. So later in the presentation, we will talk about how libraries can leverage the size of their membership to create partnerships with performance venues, with businesses, with other nonprofits to really increase your marketing reach. Some folks said, well, how do you kind of get out there? People know who we are. This will kind of help with that as we move forward in the presentation. And of course, we want to use this to provide additional value to our library members. The next marketing goal that all of us really want to do is the growth of our circulation. A great deal of time and money has been devoted to the development of your collection. Increased usage shows that the library is meeting the needs of the members, whether it's for educational or for entertainment purposes. Like at Cattle, our tagline is everything right here. Providing our patrons with the information they need and the entertainment they love in formats that work for them. So we truly want to continue to offer that brand promise and to ensure that they are getting what we're promising. Generate program attendance. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of programs. And through my travels, I've noticed that this is something that is happening among all of our libraries across the country. A number of the programs are being offered. Programming definitely is a major focus for most libraries. It's a great way to promote engagement between the library and the community, as well as to drive foot traffic. And it also kind of helps you with the branding. So for instance, if you want to be known for more than books, then of course your programming can help kind of shape that brand. We do things with Google, the Learn with Google initiative. So that's a way that we kind of do programming to show that we are in touch with technology and we are promoting things that help build life skills. Promote uses of services. Again, very important, like collection and programming. Increased usage of services shows that library is meeting the needs of the community. Again, many of their services help position a library in the minds of the users or for the potential users, like a lynda.com or any type of business resource really kind of pushes you into another area where folks aren't just thinking of you as one thing, but really showing you the ability to really kind of go in different directions and to show that you have different services that meet different needs. And of course, I mentioned this earlier, kind of going back to what our tagline is, educate and entertain. We truly want to be a trustworthy educational resource for all ages, as well as a money-saving option for entertainment in different formats. And of course, we want to maintain and grow our funding. Definitely marketing can help do that. For instance, the last 2 millages that Cattle had, we both of those, we won by over 70% of the vote. So again, that shows the support that we have for our community, as well as we try to come up with ways to garner sponsorships for our different programs, donations, private donations, grants, and other revenue resources. Okay, so I went to the marketing obstacles that we all kind of face. This is one that I find that a lot of libraries have a problem with, this whole inward marketing mentality. And pretty much what I mean by that is everything pretty much, too many times, the library's marketing efforts begin and end within the branch. What I mean by that is everything is within your branch. You're not necessarily going outside of the branch to try to bring in new folks. Someone mentioned that in one of their comments about one of their obstacles. So I've gone to different branches and found that there was, 30, 40 different flyers up where they're trying to tell their story to anyone that'll listen as they come in. But after a while, it really creates a promotional clutter that makes it hard for any of the messages to actually come through. So really what we're going to be talking about a little later is really going with a more outward approach where we are trying to find ways to connect people where they are rather than trying to house everything inside of a branch. Because if no one really used you, then they're never, ever going to see some of these messages that you're posting in your library. So we have to find ways to really reach them where they are and then find a way then to give them incentive to connect with us. Also, the inward approach defines a win as something that's happening within the library. Nowadays, with people being so busy and all that, I think a win needs to really be defined of any way that we can interact with that person, whether it's through a digital service, through something we're doing during an outreach event. But I think we really truly need to redefine what a win is when we connect with someone. It's not always happening within our 4 walls. Plus, inward approach tends to focus more on what the library perceives to be the needs of the current or potential user rather than making decisions based on data like usage reports, surveys, comment cards, program attendance, etc. Another obstacle, public perception. We're all about books. Libraries are just for kids. We're an old dinosaur. We don't embrace technology. Again, by having sort of that inward approach, people aren't necessarily seeing that you are evolving, you are changing, you are transforming. So that's one of the obstacles to kind of get past is, yeah, I haven't been to the library in 6 years. or this, or I haven't been to the library in 10 years, but really kind of getting past that and giving us a look. So that's something that marketing really can help, if done correctly, is to really change the perception of what today's library is about. Lack of marketing resources. That could be time, that could be money, that could be lack of a media presence in your market. That could be, I don't know, maybe perhaps the ability to produce type of literature that could be used to promote a service or a program. So that can really encompass a lot of different things. Many systems rely on staff members to handle marketing activities along with their other responsibilities. So that kind of falls into that as well. I mean, a lot of them do a great job, but again, it's just a lack of time to really put a lot of effort into building your usage through marketing. Lack of marketing channels. Again, that goes back to if you don't have access to, a TV station, a newspaper, or other channels to really push out. Truly now, digital is king, and if you don't really necessarily have a presence there, then you're doing yourself a disservice. That truly is where everything has moved to. And someone mentioned it, I think, in the comments that they want to hit the right people. Digital will allow you to do that, where you can target someone that's looking for a particular product or service. Cattle just received applied for and received the Google grant, AdWords Google grant. And what that allows you to do is to do keyword marketing through Google. You receive $10,000 per month, which you never will use because that's a ton of money. But you get that per month, and then you're able to go in and put search terms to come up in searches. So, for instance, if you wanted to promote a program on how to do resumes, then you would actually put that through keywords. So when someone's looking for that particular product, then you would come up as a search, as a resource for that type of information. And it's funny too with marketing channels. Back when I started working at Detroit Public Library, I mean, it was very easy to get coverage through your newspapers. I mean, the papers were huge. There was staff that could come out and to cover your programs and so forth, or to print your press release. But those days are gone. The landscape has definitely changed, especially in the print industry. For instance, in Lansing, I had visited one of our newspapers recently, and it was just a number of desks that were empty. And really, their focus has moved to digital. There was a big screen up in the newsroom that actually charted what was trending on their website in the way of stories. And they actually have the ability to find out, how many people are viewing these, just like any other digital reporting, as well as how long, it took them to read them and so forth. So a lot of what they do in regards to tracking these stories dictates the type of stories that they're covering. In most cases, the type of stories that we have or we present to them are more happy type stories. It's ways that we're helping the community in that, in different aspects. But a lot of times they just don't do well when they put them out on the digital platform. There's not a lot of views. There's not a lot of clicks on those type of things. So this definitely is changing the type of stories that a lot of our media are covering. And it's funny because we'll put out something on summer reading, or we'll put out something of a new service. And again, we don't get the type of coverage that we feel we should. But then they'll come to us and want to do a story on people ODing in the library, or the homeless situation in the library. So those type of things tend to be more focused on by the media than some of the good news stories. Although we have a great relationship with them, that seems to be one of the issues that we have in Lansing. Competition. Since there is a limited amount of resources and outlets to really push push out information about the library. You're in competition with other nonprofits. You're in competition with businesses. So really, you have to find other ways to get the word out on a consistent basis, because one article written or one submission to the event calendar is not going to drive and sustain you for a long period of time. You need to come up with a way that you are constantly in people's faces all the time, and you're increasing your reach beyond just your regular supporters and users. So definitely competition plays a role in a lack of marketing that you possibly could receive. Now it's time to shift over to focusing on leveraging the leveraging strategy that I spoke of. Before really you do anything, it's really looking at changing what your mindset is, with the mindset of how you market the library. So this is kind of a clever way of saying the strategy is really trying to build, to leverage the resources that you have and to build a partnership with other organizations that have similar missions that you have. So since the strategy takes into account that you're taking the needs of both the library and another party, some negotiations would have to take place. So again, Goldfish versus Shark is just a clever way of pointing out that you may be one or the other depending on what the situation is. So for example, when I was trying to partner with another party that normally charges for their goods and services, you know, I had to kind of be the Goldfish, which meant the conversation may go like this: hey, company X, you know, we're just a library, you know, we really don't have a budget for this, but we really could use your help, you know, to really do some great things for our community. So I'm kind of being the smaller of the two parties. I'm letting them know that I really need them and that their support would be meaningful to whatever project I'm trying to bring them in on. So again, an example of this that we did is we do Kindle Fire giveaways a lot. It's a very inexpensive way to create awareness of our digital collection and to show that we are embracing technology. So we did a Kindle giveaway with one of our top radio stations during March's Reading Month. So we provided the Kindle, which is, I don't know, about $50, but we received over $6,000 worth of free promotional ads from the radio station. So again, we went in saying, hey, we need your help in getting the word out about this great service. Can you help us, please? And you know, they said, hey, no problem. And for the most part, we just provided the prize, and they ran all the ads, and it helped build a long, sustaining campaign, which I said was about $6,000. So it's for the entire month of March, promoting a service, and they basically viewed it as helping us and providing goodwill among their listeners. So now I'm gonna give you kind of an example when you're the shark. It's a situation when you know you have something the other party needs, so you want to leverage that. The conversation may sound a little different than the first. So for instance, it would go something like this: our summer reading program draws X amount of families each year. I mean, it's like Christmas around here. Sometimes I say that because a lot of people kind of view Christmas for retailers, knowing it's a busy time. That's when they generally, you know, produce a lot of sales. So we kind of use that so they kind of understand the impact that summer reading has for libraries. It's our Christmas season. So knowing that I'm going to have a lot of folks in my buildings, it's going to be a lot of excitement, then I know I have leverage of someone that wants to get in front of, you know, let's say moms, or get in front of families. So we definitely are the shark, or we're kind of in the driver's seat in this particular scenario. So an example of that is last year, the library brought in the season 7 winner of Fox's MasterChef to town. So this was really a big deal. So what we did is we did a special presentation at one of the local restaurants. So we went and approached them, and for them to be a part of it, we came with some demands. So for example, they provided all of the ingredients that the chef would need. They provided the kitchen for him to work in. They provided him with a sous chef to assist him. They provided a wait staff. So pretty much they covered all of our out-of-pocket expenses for this presentation to be a part of it. And we actually did the presentation right at the restaurant. It was very successful. Then we approached the TV station for the same presentation, the Fox affiliate, got them to cover it, got one of their news anchors to come in and MC the event. So again, we're kind of leveraging one particular program, and we're bringing people in to help us market ourselves and position the library differently. That same presenter, we actually brought in a third party. So what we did is actually two more parties, to be honest. So again, let me just kind of recap. We brought him into a restaurant that took care of all of his needs for that presentation that the library gave at this particular restaurant. We brought the Fox affiliate TV station in to cover the event and to act as the MC. Then we reached out to another restaurant to sponsor a second presentation of his at a women's expo, which will be happening the following day. So they took care of all the costs related to him going to the expo. And then the expo, we reached out and said, okay, we're bringing this person in for a main stage presentation. This is what we want in return. So for that particular appearance, they gave us free booth space, which is about $1,000. They gave us special flooring for that booth space, which they don't offer to anyone else. We got that for free. We were included in all of their advertising related to the expo, which is probably about $10,000 worth of free advertising that we received. And all of this was done using one program, leveraging one program. We got all of this back for the library. And the cool thing about that is it helped position us as, wow, this is really something else. I didn't think the library did anything like this. And of course, we cross-promoted his appearances with our cookbooks and other magazines through RB Digital that had to do with food. So it was a win-win for pretty much everyone who was involved with it. And now they look to the library to create these type of projects in the future. And it's definitely something that we will continue to do. Everything has value. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying that we put special sponsor patches on the shirts of our staff, but I'm just saying that a lot of what we have as libraries is very valuable to others. Our membership, I mentioned that earlier. For instance, we have 70,000 members. You don't think a business or another organization would want to get in front of 70,000 people? If you create event guides or flyers, those are of value to people. If your building's value to people because you have footsteps that come into your buildings, so people can put up posters if they wanted to. We use actual digital signage in some of our branches. So sometimes when we have these type of partnerships, we will say, okay, create a slide and it can go on our digital slide in our 13 locations. So everything has value. The important thing is to really kind of go through and do an assessment of things that you feel are valuable. Programming's valuable. Your staff expertise, that's of value. So again, everything has value. It's a marathon. For some, this approach will be a culture shock to both the library and the supporters. I remember when the library cattle started doing things with some of the big home shows, expos, and we received some calls from some of the public because they weren't used to seeing us in those type of arrangements where you would look at an ad and it would have, I don't know, some big car dealership or some big company, and then right next to it is the logo for the library. So, you know, there was some issues initially, but after a while, people got used to seeing us in those type of settings. And that is showing that we're evolving our brand. You know, we're not just, you know, story times. We're part of home shows, garden shows. We're part of music festivals, because all of those resources we have. So why would you not then try to market yourselves to folks who are interested in that type of content? So again, if it's something that you haven't really done in the past, maybe try to find one meaningful partnership, kind of nurture it, see how it goes, then go to another. Don't have to do it all at once. It's not all about you. Remember, when you enter into these partnerships, it's a win-win. It has to be a win-win situation for both parties. Do your homework prior to approaching a potential partner. Try to figure out what resources you have that may help them, and vice versa. Because this is all about trying to increase your reach as a library. So you want some folks to provide you with an audience, or with folks that you don't necessarily have access to, and they're trying to do the same with you. A great example of this, and I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, we have an arrangement with a big music festival in town called Common Ground Music Festival. It's over a few days. It generates over 10,000 people. So what we did is we reached out to them and said, hey, we have this great Hoopla downloadable music collection. Let us create a special collection within Hoopla that highlights the artists who are coming and performing at Common Ground this year, as well as your past artists. And then what we'll do is a contest based off of this, where people can win tickets to Common Ground. You know, we'll also include it in our during the summer months. We'll also include it in our summer guide. You know, we'll do some posts on social media. So then this way, you know, we kind of build awareness of our downloadable music service. We have a booth space that they provided us on site that we could kind of communicate with folks who were attending the festival, make them aware of, again, our music service, as well as just kind of get the library out into a venue that you wouldn't necessarily find most libraries. So again, we use this as a way to evolve our brand and to reach a whole different set of folks that may not have library cards. I kind of spoke about this earlier, the outward versus inward approach. Again, the example I just gave, again, shows how we're trying to reach out from our four walls and do some things to connect with folks to try to bring them back into the fold, rather than really putting everything and all our energies into the four walls of our building. Because we already have those folks. So we really need to do things that generate more users and to create this atmosphere of excitement around the library and wanting to check it out. Great example for this outward versus inward approach. We have a county fair that happens every year. We have a partnership with that, where we have a little train that we work with the business on. It's like a little train that you would see sometimes in the mall that people can take rides on. And we call it our little reading railroad. I mean, the guy charges us like $100 or something to use it. But what we did is we used the train out at the county fair to give free rides to folks at the county fair, because everything else you got to pay for. But we're providing free rides as a way of connecting with folks who are out at the Ingham County Fair. We also have the ability to distribute things about the fair. They have a fair booklet. We have those in our location, so people are enticed to come in and pick up a county fair guide, as well as we have tickets that we give away for folks to pick up passes for certain days. So it's a way that we're kind of working inside out where we're there on site, as well as have some things within our branch, within our branches, so people can come in and learn about their event, but they're also helping us by having us out at their event. So we've been doing that for a number of years, and it's really created a great partnership with them, and it, again, puts us out in front of a lot of folks who we may not have seen just waiting to come into our doors. Okay, so what can be leveraged? What can be leveraged or used to help get the word out about the wonderful things at our libraries? The first thing, first and foremost, collections and services. I did give a few examples of some of the ways that we've leveraged services like Hoopla. We've done the same with RB Digital. We have a relationship with the Home and Garden Show, another event that draws over 10,000 annually for it. We use that as a way of promoting our RB Digital titles that deal with home repair, home decorating, gardens, and so forth. We also kind of took on did the same model that we did with the Women's Expo, where we're out there. You know, we've asked them, hey, you know, we really would be out there. We'd like to be out there. Can you help us out? We don't have much money. You know, we kind of played the whole Goldfish initially to get out there. They gave us free booth space. Again, that's about $1,000 value. The only thing we would have to pay for was electricity and, of course, bring things for the booth space. But we've been doing that for a couple of years. Gave us a great opportunity to connect with folks during the Home and Garden Show, which is a great place to be if you have one, because our funding comes from a millage, which is property taxes. So you're talking to people that are homeowners. So it's a perfect spot to be. So we had like a nice little giveaway that we gave. I think it was a tape measure that had our logo on it. We had contesting, so we had the ability to build leads from folks. So they would, you know, enter for the contest, and then we would put it into our email system and then send out information to them saying, hey, we saw you at the Home and Garden Show. You know, we thank you. Did you know that we offered this? And again, allows for us to get in front of them for a particular need and show that we have the collections or services to meet that need. Your digital and physical presence. I mentioned this before at the top when I was kind of going through what cattle, a little bit about cattle. 13 locations. 13 locations, that's a big footprint. Even one location, if you kind of say it the right way, let's say, for instance, you only have one location, but let's say we have 2,000 visits a week, or we have 2,000 visits a month. A lot of folks don't necessarily know what's good or bad with Lyra, but it's just the way you kind of frame it, or say we have this many card holders, or we have, you know, this digital platform that you can get on, or you could use to promote your event. So definitely you can leverage both of those, digital and physical presence. For us, digital would include social media presence. We have an email list of about 70,000 that we can leverage. Again, our 13 locations. We have a mobile library that we can leverage. So again, it could be something that could be used to get you something that you need in exchange for that person having access to it. We all have goodwill. Everybody loves the library. Everybody. So that is a way, and I kind of mentioned about the whole radio promotion that we did. I could give you a number of other examples of how we work with the media and other businesses, because they know and love libraries and they love our mission. Use that to your advantage. Use that to your advantage to go to a business or to go to a media company and say, hey, we need your help. We're doing great things over here, but we need your help getting that out. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be in a form of an article or whatever. A great example of this is we typically do special advertisements with our TV stations, and we don't necessarily pay for it. They take care of everything. It could be for, let's say, Black History Month, where you have an anchor in the branch talking about some of the folks who have achieved things, some of the African Americans who have achieved great things, and he's kind of doing or she's kind of doing a vignette of some of these folks, and then at the end, the tagline is, for more information, visit your local library. We do a lot of that sort of thing, and that's just built on goodwill and people loving what we do, that they want to help us. So that sort of thing you could easily do with your local TV station, newspaper, radio, where that content is provided by the library to them. They come in and shoot it. You can, they run it on the stations, but you can also use it for social media as well. Membership, again, already kind of discussed that. The amount of supporters you have, the amount of card holders you have can definitely be something that you could leverage. Now, the key to all of this is not to go crazy where, it's like a ton of promotional messages being sent out to your members all the time. You really got to kind of look at some of the situations and decide, is this worth? Do I want to vouch for this company? Is this company in line with what my missions are? To be able to say, okay, this is a good company, because that's really what you're kind of doing, is saying, what, they're okay. You're vouching for them. So, for instance, when we do summer reading, our public television station is one of our sponsors. So their logo would appear in our things, and our members would know that they were a supporter of ours and that we vouch for them. So definitely membership is very important, but again, make sure that you're shielding your members from a lot of things that may not be good partnerships or a ton of messages. You really want to try to control how and what you're giving your partners. Programming and contests, I mentioned about the radio Kindle Fire contest. We did something similar for a contest at one of our movie theaters. Actually, over the holiday season. Holiday season is pretty much their busiest time in movie theaters. So what we did is we did a whole Kindle giveaway in one of the theaters. So what we did is we set up a drawing table that featured an image. I think it was the image of Aquaman, because we have Aquaman comic books through Hoopla. So that was a picture of a device, and it had the cover image on there, and then we had other information about the library as well as the drawing box. Again, we placed it there because we knew it would be a lot of footsteps in during that time, and we also wanted to get in front of the actual holiday season, let people know that we have the content in case they do receive a device for Christmas, to look to the library for content for that. Again, it didn't cost us anything. Well, actually, it did $50 for whatever the Kindle costs, and then the actual theater also threw in passes. Now, something like this could easily be done in your branches as well, in reverse, where there is a drawing table that you could do either in branch or on social, maybe Facebook, where you're providing your members the opportunity to win, let's say, family 4-pack of tickets to your local theater. A great way to create engagement with your users, to create excitement. We've done other contests where they would have to check out something. We did a contest with Disney for Lion King that was coming through on one of our performance venues, where Disney gave special tickets to folks based on them checking out something that had the word lion in it. So they would opt in and say, we checked out, this particular title that had the lion in it. They opted in saying, we checked it out. Here's my name, my contact information. Again, just to build engagement, and then in that particular case, help build circulation as well. Programming, again, goes back to the Chef Sean. That was the name of the person, Chef Sean O'Neill, who came to town and did the presentation at the Women's Expo. that was a program that we typically would do in our branches, but we decided to kind of go more outward to include more folks and to showcase some of the programming that we do. Again, for this this coming summer, we're going to be out at the Home and Garden Show, and we're going to be presenting, along with the organizers of that event, an author and garden expert. So again, it's something that we typically would do in our branches all the time, but we're taking it off-site to be able to showcase some of the resources that are available. And in exchange for doing that, we're getting all of this promotional value back, because the person that we're bringing is part of all the marketing that the show is putting out there. So it'll say, you know, Home and Garden Expert X, courtesy of Capital Area District Library. So it helps position your library as a resource, as providing expertise in that particular area, and it gets you out there without actually having to come out of pocket for the advertising. And of course, staff. Staff is really great. It's a great asset. We use our staff to do interviews. We really try to push out our head librarians so the community know who they are. Our staff actually, they do columns, library columns in some of our local papers. So there's like 5 local papers that each week the librarian will just, you know, write about something that's happening within the library, and then they push that out to these papers so people kind of know what's going on within their particular library. And it's great for the newspaper because they need the content. So again, we're leveraging what's happening within our walls and our staff to become these guest columnists for these papers. Also, their expertise. We have another gentleman at one of our branches that does great story times, and Whole Foods actually has a special story time that he provides in their stores. So again, you can leverage that in ways that create promotion for the library and gets out in front of folks who might not necessarily come into the library. And then of course, your marketing elements, I mentioned this before, that could be your guides, your flyers, bookmarks, things that you already create now, but you can leverage those to maybe include a logo of your partner, include maybe an ad if you have that kind of space. We did that for our 20th year celebration, where we actually sold ads in some of our publications and generated money for that to use for other things. Signage. Again, there's a lot of organizations that we deal with, expos, garden shows, that actually have the signage already created. We just, you know, put it on our community board, or if we have a digital sign, they would create a slide that we would put up on there for a determined time. Again, this will be part of what our agreement was, and it's kind of a weird thing because you're kind of bringing in an outside party and helping them promote something, but the opposite is also happening. So you're helping them promote something to your folks, and they're helping you promote to their folks. So it's kind of a win-win situation. Newsletter, e-newsletter. Again, we have about a 70,000 list. I know not all of you probably have that size list, but even $2,000 and $3,000 has value for someone to get in front of your patrons. Again, that could just be, hey, join the library at the Home and Garden Show, and have a link to their website. Social media, definitely we are on Facebook, Twitter, we do blogs. I mentioned earlier that our staff does these columns. That same content actually is used for the blogs as well, so we put that online. We do podcasts, and we actually have 3 different podcasts. One of the podcasts we actually use to generate some dollars for. We have one of our local credit unions, they come on every so often to give information about saving and kind of financial advice. And then that's part of an agreement we have with them where they give us money as a sponsor. That includes podcasts as well as summer reading and some other things. We also use our podcasts to cover some local entertainment, because again, part of our brand promise is the entertainment you love. So we try to create content that reinforces that brand promise. So we have a performance venue called the Wharton Center. It's on the grounds of Michigan State University. They bring in a lot of big shows, Disney shows. Recently, they had Lion King there, a whole bunch of big Broadway type shows. What they do is they allow for us to interview the cast. So they're providing us with content. In exchange, then we're promoting those shows. They also give us tickets that we use as incentives for our members. And now we've actually created this new program called Member Rewards. I mean, a lot of your corporate businesses use that term, but we are too, because we really want to reinforce the value of our library membership as well as value add to it. So what we do is we provide discounts to tickets at a number of shows at this particular venue, and we just expanded our offerings to include a number of venues in Detroit, which has some huge ones. And again, they get a certain percentage. They use a promo code, which is cattle, and then they receive this benefit. And again, we try to use that to retain our members longer and to show that we're helpful in all kinds of different ways to them and their families. PSAs and paid ads, we do have a budget, so at times we will include in some of our partners in our paid ads in exchange for other things that they provide us. We do a lot of PSAs. Back in the day, PSAs used to run at 2 o'clock in the morning. Those days are gone now, especially with digital, because once they're actually created, these public service announcements, you can use those on social. You can put them on YouTube, Facebook. So they're very helpful now. We've had a number of local media folks record these PSAs for us, talking about different services, and then we turn around and use those on social media and other ways. So it's definitely something that you should look into.
Trenton?
Yes.
We only have about 5 minutes left, so I'm not sure if you want to wrap things up in about a minute, and so we can take time for a few questions.
Sure. I'm going to go right to some examples here real quick.
Okay.
So let me just go here, and then I'm going to go into some examples. So how do you form these? First, you want to definitely conduct an assessment of your strengths. I mentioned that before. Then what are some of your marketing goals that you want to accomplish? And who can help you accomplish these? So the Women's Show was one of the people that we wanted to reach out to because of the number of women that come to the show. It's over 10,000. So it's definitely something that they could help us reach a goal of getting in front of that many people. Then in some respects, sometimes you might want a policy or a procedure needed created so folks kind of know what's expected. I'm getting this, you're getting that. Plus it kind of puts your board on notice that you're starting to do this sort of thing, and it gets everybody to kind of sign off on it. And then how will you evaluate the results of this partnership? So you want to come up with ways. So if it's driving usage of a particular service, then where was the starting point? Where did you end up after this particular promotion? I'm going to go through here real quick. This right here is an example of how we work with the local local TV station. They allow for us to actually tag the library on Oscar and Grammy spots. Something like this in a major market would cost several $100s. They charge us $25. So this allowed for us to promote titles, Oscar titles and Grammy titles, and it positioned us as a place for music, downloadable music and videos. This is what I was talking about, the Lion King, again, leveraging our membership, giving the venue the opportunity to let them know that the Lion King was in town. In exchange, we're able to offer discounts to the shows, incentives for our patrons, and the actual content. So I'll stop there, and then we can take some questions if there are.
Great. Could you talk a little bit about how you received the Google grant, that process?
Sure. Pretty much I learned about it at a marketing conference in Dallas, Texas. And pretty much what it is you, if you just go and put in Google Ad Grants, it'll give you all the information. Some libraries say, oh, we're not eligible because we're not truly a nonprofit. But for the most part, all libraries are approved for that grant. So that may be something you might want to check out.
And then another question is, could you provide an example of the policy that you referred to with the partnership that you were just talking about?
Sure. When we started really doing a lot of sponsorships and partnerships, the director at the time wanted to make sure that the library was protected. So what we did is we kind of got with our council and came up with a document that again would spell out that, of course, the library wouldn't go into a partnership with a cigarette company or a beer company, or if something happened within the time frame of the partnership. Let's say I went into a partnership with a flower store and it found out that they were trafficking drugs or something out the, we had the ability to opt out of the partnership. So it's those type of things in place to protect the library and its reputation. And if it was a certain amount of money that passed hands, then it would have to come up for approval by the board. They just wanted to kind of be in the mix to ensure that we were protecting our reputation.
So, any last minute thoughts before we close for today, Trenton?
Well, I apologize for going so long. I get so excited about this, but I really think, again, it's changing the mindset and knowing that you are a player in your community. Someone mentioned about they didn't have a paper or something in their particular community. That's okay. That's all right. Because there's other ways that you can circulate that information around, especially through social. There's a lot of bloggers within communities that you can have some type of network with, where maybe they're a guest blogger, where they have a blog that appears in front of your members, and then vice versa. Maybe some content that maybe they write or someone in the library writes that then they can share with their followers. So there's definitely ways of getting the written word out to the masses.
Awesome. Well, you definitely shared so much great information with us that we all will spend a lot of time thinking about. So again, I want to thank you, Trenton, for a great session. Thank you, audience members, for listening in. As mentioned, this session recording and slides will be posted soon on our conference website. Our next session in this track, the final session in the marketing track, is with Curtis Rogers, and he's going to be talking about library signage. That is coming up at noon in 30 minutes. So step away, go check your email, grab some more coffee, do what you need to do, maybe grab a snack, and then we hope to see you back here at noon for the session on signage. If we don't, we hope you have a great rest of your day. So long.